Moments in life when everything feels off. The air around you shifts. The people closest to you start revealing their true colors. Doors that once swung open with ease now remain shut. Your spirit senses something, an unseen force moving beneath the surface. But most ignore these signs, brushing them off as bad luck or coincidence. But the chosen ones know better. If you are here, it is not by chance. And if you are listening, then this message is for you. God does not always speak through gentle whispers. Sometimes he shakes your life like an earthquake, removing what does not serve you, disrupting your comfort, and setting you on a path you never expected. Divine warnings are not to be ignored because to ignore them is to invite unnecessary suffering. Perhaps you've already felt it, the discomfort, the resistance, the repeated patterns in your life that seem to scream at you, yet you still hesitate. Let me tell you something. God never removes, delays, or disrupts without reason. When he places his hand upon your life, things must shift, people must go, directions must change. Your soul must evolve. And if you resist, he will keep sending louder warnings until you have no choice but to listen. Chosen one, this is not a game. This is your calling. In this video, we are going to uncover 7 shocking signs that God is trying to warn you about something. These are not mere coincidences. These are not random events. If you've experienced any of these signs, then God is calling you to wake up before it's too late. And trust me, when God warns you, you had better listen. But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like something in your life was being forcefully removed, but you didn't understand why? Have you ever faced unexplainable obstacles, betrayals, or losses that made no sense at the time, only to later realize that it was a divine redirection? Drop a comment below if you've ever felt like God was trying to warn you about something. Your story might be the confirmation another chosen one needs. Now let's explore these signs because if you ignore them, the consequences could be greater than you think. Sign number 1, life feels completely stagnant and blocked. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, nothing moves forward? You apply for jobs and no one calls back. You try to build a relationship, but every connection crumbles. You pour energy into your dreams, yet everything stands still, like walking through thick, invisible mud. This, my friend, is not a coincidence. When your life feels completely stagnant, it is often a sign that God is trying to warn you. You are either moving in the wrong direction, or you are not moving at all when you should be. God blocks what is not aligned with your destiny. Many are the plans in a person's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. When you are chosen, God does not allow you to go where you do not belong. And when he sees you walking towards something that does not serve your purpose, he blocks it. You might think it's just bad luck, but in reality, it's divine redirection. If God allowed you to succeed in everything you wanted, you would walk straight into destruction. Have you been forcing something that refuses to move? Have you been trying to make things happen, but no matter how much effort you put in, you keep hitting a wall? If so, stop and pay attention. You might be trying to open a door that God has locked for your protection, stagnation, as a test of faith. Sometimes God places you in a season of stillness, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Think of Joseph in the Bible. Before he became a ruler in Egypt, he was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, then falsely imprisoned. Everything in his life looked stagnant. It seemed as if God had abandoned him. But what was really happening? God was aligning everything in the background. He was shaping Joseph into the man he needed to be, so that when the time was right, he would rise into his true position. Could it be that your delay is not denial, but divine preparation? When stagnation is a warning, not a test. Not all stagnation is a test. Sometimes it is a clear warning that you're not where you're supposed to be. If your stagnation comes with deep frustration, anxiety, and exhaustion, it's likely a warning. If your stagnation feels like a forced pause, but you have peace in your spirit, it may be preparation. Are you forcing something that refuses to work? Are you staying in a place where your spirit feels heavy and blocked? Are you holding on to something that God has clearly removed from your life? If the answer is yes, God is telling you to let go, stop resisting, and realign with his will. What to do if you feel stagnant? If you recognize that God is blocking your path, don't fight it. Instead, surrender. Pray for clarity and ask God to reveal the lesson in your stagnation. Stop forcing things that refuse to work because sometimes rejection is divine protection. Or step back and seek direction because when you stop moving in your own strength, God can finally guide you. Be open to change because if you keep doing the same thing, you will remain stuck. Sign number 2, sudden and drastic loss. There is no pain quite like losing something or someone you never expected to lose. One day everything seems fine and then suddenly your world is shaken. The job you relied on is taken away. A close relationship crumbles without warning. An opportunity you were counting on vanishes before your eyes. It feels like your life is being stripped away piece by piece. And in that moment you may ask, why is this happening? What did I do to deserve this? But let me tell you something powerful. When sudden loss comes into your life, it is not always an attack. Well, sometimes it is a warning, sometimes it is divine intervention. God removes to protect and redirect. The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. God does not allow anything to be removed from your life without purpose. If He takes something away, it is either because it was never meant to stay or because it would have harmed you in ways you could not see. Think about this. Have you ever lost a friend, a partner, or a job, only to later realize it was the best thing that could have happened? At the time, it felt like betrayal. It felt like abandonment. But looking back, you saw how that person was not truly for you, or how that job was limiting your growth. God sees what you cannot, and when you refuse to walk away from something that is no longer meant for you, He will remove it by force. When loss is a warning, not all loss is about preparation. Sometimes it is a divine warning that something is off in your life. If you experience repeated sudden losses, whether in relationships, finances, or opportunities, it is a sign that something needs to change. God is shaking your foundation, trying to get your attention. He is saying, stop holding on to what I have already removed. Stop trying to build on a broken foundation. Stop resisting the path I am setting before you. When you keep losing the same type of people, the same kind of job, or the same opportunity, God is warning you that you are not aligned with where He needs you to be. Job, a story of loss and divine testing. If anyone understood sudden loss, it was Job. One day he had everything, a thriving family, wealth, good health. The next day, it was all taken from him. His children died. His body was afflicted with disease. His wealth disappeared. At first, it seemed like God had abandoned him. But in reality, Job was being tested, and in the end, after enduring his season of loss, he was restored double what he had lost. What if your loss is not the end of your story, but the beginning of something greater? What you must do in a season of loss. When you experience drastic loss, your first instinct may be to fight it, to try to hold on to what is slipping away. But what if, instead of resisting, you surrendered? You must trust that if God allowed it to leave your life, it was never meant to stay. This is where faith is truly tested. You have to stop chasing what is gone and start preparing for what is coming. If a relationship suddenly ends, do not beg for it back. If an opportunity is taken from you, do not try to force it to return. If God removes someone, something, or someplace from your life, He is making room for something better. Sign number 3, a deep, unshakable inner restlessness. There are moments in life when everything on the outside seems fine, yet something deep inside you feels off. You can't explain it, but there's a persistent unease, a feeling that something isn't right. It lingers in your chest, in your thoughts, in your spirit. No matter how much you distract yourself, the feeling remains. This is not just anxiety. This is not overthinking. This is God trying to get your attention, the voice of God within you. God does not always speak in thunder and fire. Sometimes He speaks through a whisper, through a feeling that refuses to go away. That feeling of restlessness is a divine message. When you are out of alignment with your purpose, your spirit will not rest. When you are in the wrong place with the wrong people, doing the wrong thing, God will make sure you feel it. This is why no matter how much you try to convince yourself that everything is fine, your spirit knows the truth. Have you ever felt this before? A season where no matter how much you tried to ignore it, something in your gut kept telling you, this isn't it. You're not where you need to be. If you feel this way now, do not ignore it. Why God makes you feel restless? God allows this discomfort because He does not want you to settle. Restlessness is a divine disruption, a signal that it's time to move, shift, or change something in your life. If God has called you to something greater, He will not let you get comfortable in mediocrity. Have you noticed that when you try to fit into places that are beneath your calling, something inside you feels suffocated? When you stay in a job, relationship, or situation that no longer serves your purpose, you start to feel spiritually sick. That's because God is trying to shake you awake. Restlessness is a warning that if you stay where you are, you will miss what He has for you. When you ignore the restlessness, many people ignore this inner discomfort. They numb it with distractions, social media, entertainment, relationships, or work. They drown it out with busyness. They tell themselves, maybe it's just stress. Maybe I'm just overthinking. But deep down they know ignoring the restlessness does not make it go away. It only makes life harder. When Jonah ran from his divine assignment thinking he could avoid the call of God, he found himself in the belly of a great fish. His restlessness didn't disappear. It swallowed him whole. When God is calling you to something different, the longer you ignore Him, the more intense the discomfort will become. This is why some people stay in the wrong situations until life forces them out. They didn't listen when God whispered, so He had to shake their entire world to get their attention. Will you listen before it gets to that point? How to respond? When you feel this restlessness, instead of pushing the feeling away, you need to lean into it. Sit with yourself and ask God, what are you trying to tell me? Look at your life. Are you where you need to be? Are you settling for less than you were called to? Have you been trying to force yourself to stay in a situation that no longer aligns with your spirit? If your restlessness grows stronger, the more you resist, that is your answer. You must be willing to move when God tells you to move, even if you don't have all the answers, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you don't know what's next. God does not always show you the entire path. Sometimes He only gives you a feeling. Your job is to trust that feeling and step forward in faith. Sign number 4, continuous repetitive messages in synchronicities. Have you ever noticed the same number appearing everywhere? The same phrase being spoken by different people? A dream repeating itself night after night? This is not random. This is not coincidence. This is God speaking to you. God speaks through patterns. When God is trying to warn you, He will not just tell you once. He will send the message again and again until you finally recognize it. It may come in the form of numbers, seeing 111, 222, 777, or other repeating sequences. It may come in the form of people hearing the same message from different sources within days or even hours. It may come through your dreams, where the same vision keeps replaying, urging you to pay attention. And yet many people ignore these signs. They brush them off as weird coincidences. But there are no coincidences in the spiritual realm. If you keep seeing, hearing, or dreaming the same thing, God is trying to get your attention. Synchronicities are not random. They are divine markers. Think about the last time you were struggling with a decision, and suddenly everywhere you turned, you kept encountering the same message. You open a book and find the exact answer to your situation. You overhear a conversation that speaks directly to your thoughts. You meet someone who tells you something you needed to hear at the exact right moment. These are divine confirmations. Synchronicities are God's way of aligning your awareness with His will. He is showing you what to focus on,